Oh, fire up the deep fryer. Things getting spicy already before kickoff between Oklahoma and Texas. How about that, B-Mac? A little push and shove, a little scuffling?
When you're going against your rival, you better believe there's a lot of hate in the air.
Wow. Oklahoma and Texas renewing the Red River rivalry for the 115th time. The State Fair, they've been there since 1929. Last October's clash at the State Fair was the highest scoring in series history, with Texas winning 48-45 on a 40-yard field goal with 9 seconds to play. It was madness. It was absolute bananas. Oklahoma and Texas, one of the notable noon games on the slate. We also got Georgia, South Carolina, and Michigan and Illinois coming up here at the top of the hour. Back here with Brian McFadden, Kenny White, and Tom Fornelli. We'll start with the Red River rivalry. We've got perhaps another Heisman moment waiting in the wings for Jalen Hurts, who get his first taste here of the Red River rivalry. And, of course, he's had his taste of rivalry games in the Iron Bowls. He says he's not worried about that. The Sooners are double-digit favorites. The total set around 75. We flew over the total last year. Underdog 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 meetings, which leads me to this, Kenny. So do you like the underdog Longhorns in this spot?
Yeah, I do. Tom Herman, outstanding head coach. And you just look back to what he did at Houston. When he got there, they were in disarray. Turns into a 13-1 season, a great second season. On to Texas. And then Houston fell apart once again. That shows this guy's a really good coach. And he's done a great job so far at Texas. And breaking down his underdog role, I looked at games where he was a 7-point dog or more. 10 times that's happened. 9-1 ATS, 5-0 as the Longhorn head coach. 6 times he's won the game straight up. And out of those 10 games, 7 of those 10 have gone under the total. Since Lincoln Riley and Tom Herman were named head coach, they're both in their 3rd year now. 4 battles. This is their 4th battle. The 3 times, two unders, 1 over. The average total of those games, 66.6. It's 9 points less than the total today. This is such a big game for both teams. I think it's a correlated parlay. Texas stays in the game, and I think it stays under that total. I'm going to play Texas and under today.
You know, I understand Tom Herman's history as an underdog, particularly against the spread, but a lot of that damage that he's done was at Houston. Since coming to Texas, he's only 3-2-1 against the spread as a dog, and earlier this season, he was an underdog against LSU. They didn't cover. They didn't win. The last time they faced Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship, they didn't cover. They didn't win, and I expect that similar kind of performance today. If we go back to last year's meeting between these two teams, Texas won by 3, but Oklahoma turned the ball over 3 times, and the Longhorns still only managed to win by 3. So unless Oklahoma has a sloppy game and turns it over a few times, I just don't think this Texas team can hang with this Sooners offense over 60 minutes. I know there's been some talk about Jalen Hurts, his first time in this environment. He's played in national title games, SEC title games, Iron Bowls. I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts adopting to this environment. So I think that Oklahoma offensively is much better than Texas, and I think this year's Oklahoma team is better defensively than last year was. And when you look at the Texas defense, the pass defense has been bad already, and they're dealing with a lot of injuries in that secondary, and there is not a team in the country I want to face less with a banged-up secondary than Oklahoma. I think the Sooners are going to roll today.
Well, for me, when you look at rivalry matchups, you have to throw records and resumes out of the window, including stats. And when you look at these two teams, we saw this a year ago in the first meeting. Texas showed up and they showed out. These players, they get geared up for this matchup. When you go to Texas, when you go to Oklahoma, that's the first game you circle on your schedule because that is against a hated rival. So I'm taking Texas, getting 10.5 out the gate. And yes, I do believe Jalen Hurts will have success against the injured battle defense from Texas. But Sam Ehlinger, he will have success also. Looking at his last 3 matchups against Oklahoma, total yards offensively from Sam, 391, 386, 384. This guy has balled out against Oklahoma, and I believe he will do the same thing. This team has been a bit battle tested. They've played against a tougher schedule than Oklahoma. They face some adversity. So for me, if you're giving me 10.5 out the gate and a rival matchup, I'm taking the underdog.
And you know a thing or two about rivalry games. Florida State, Miami. I mean, this is
you got to throw records and resumes out the window.
Yeah, well, I like this. All right, in the SEC, number 3, Georgia hosting South Carolina. The Dogs are 21-point favorites. Georgia's won its last 21 games against unranked opponents. Kenny, where are you leaning in this game?
I'm leaning on the total. I'm going to go over the